Well, hi. I'm gonna play for a little bit. It's getting very close to 10 o'clock, and I don't like to play after 10 o'clock. Be kind to the neighbors. But I don't know, these guys get going pretty late. I'll have to talk to them about how, hey, does my horn playing bother you and how much? Anyway, here, let me bother a few people. I'm going to talk about me tonight. I had a very rough start to this morning and an otherwise really excellent day. And a promising future. I don't like what I was doing up all the way at the top. To read. Dr. Moon hated saxophones, and he was especially didn't like the soprano. They're really touchy instruments. Everything has to be just so, or they do a lot of squeaking. Notes break. It's about the length of the air column. And the shorter the air column, the narrower the margin of error becomes. So you can really slop it out on a baritone or a tenor, but to get it into the upper and lower registers of the soprano and the alto even, and you got to have it just right. You have to have your mouthpiece in just the right spot, the reed set on it just right, and even the way you blow on it is going to affect the pitch. Let's see how this is. I don't know. I wonder about what I'm hearing. It sounds wrong to me, but then it sounds right to others, and I don't know. And then this is never supposed to put yourself down. Well, if I don't put myself down, I can't move up. So I'm gonna put some things to rest because I'm simply not going to give these people time. I don't have it for them. I'm just not going to give them any time. They're trying to label me something that I'm not, and based on distorted facts and total fiction. We're going over the claim that I hounded somebody to suicide. This is bullshit. I don't hound anybody. I got into it with somebody over something really insignificant, and it was really a insignificant little spat that ended fairly quickly, and many months before this woman actually committed suicide. But no, I hounded her to death, and now they're saying that I had a sock puppet that did it, that there was a string of videos. But anyway, I've been dogged by a team that's led by two gentlemen and another message board by the name of Tom, Madeira and Butler, who I believe are the usernames Kevin Hoffman and Bucket. Let's just put this in my mug, my Bubba mug. Um, and you know, there's constructive criticism and there's character assassination, boys. And fortunately for me, I'm a good enough writer and a good enough speaker where most people find my account much more credible than the people who are trying to put me down. I got references for anybody who needs them. I'm gonna go have a little cigarette break, and then we'll come back to me. What's really me, and whatever how they're gonna interpret this all sorts of ways. But I had a meeting with my shrink today, and we're gonna talk about that. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh well. We'll see if the boys catch why I said "oh fuck." I'm not gonna say. I'm really mad at myself about a few things, but I'm not gonna talk about that either. I'm gonna talk about me. You know, I was about 15 months old, and they decided they were gonna cut on me because I had a double inguinal hernia, whatever the fuck that meant. I suspect that there was some developmental, some difference in sex development that they detected that they wanted to correct. I know that all the nerve endings are in the wrong place now. Now that everything's developed, all your nerve endings are not where my head is looking for them, and it's maddening. And there is a diagnosis for that. It's called gender dysphoria, and that's my diagnosis. That was the conclusion that the current director of the behavioral health department came to, is that schizoaffective disorder is not the correct diagnosis, and that gender dysphoria with PTSD is. She also seems to agree that I'm managing it well. She didn't even try to mention any drugs. I told her about using weed and supporting it with kava and valerian, and she was cool with that. And she's gonna write the letters. Now, one reason that I didn't even know, I had never even heard of intersex before I came out. And people recognize the signs in me and in my backstory, is that I'm not really male or female. I'm very androgynous. My body, my face, everything. And there's a possibility of DES exposure. High probability of it, actually, because my mother remembers vitamins, and that's how they gave them to her, to the pregnant women. was in vitamins. They didn't tell them what was in the vitamins. But regardless of what it is, this is a natural condition, even if it wasn't because of DES. This is something that happens. There's 2%. There's 39 different intersex variations they've described, and very few of them are pathological at all. There's some that cause some urinary and colon obstructions that they have to fix, but that's it. Everything else, when they cut on intersex people, it's cosmetic, and totally on the doctor's idea of what a penis or a vagina is supposed to look like. And more often than not, they fuck up the kids real bad in many ways. And I survived. I'm 66 years old, and I'm in real good health. I'm slightly over 200 pounds right now, and I'm happy about that. But I'm doing something about it. I have hardly had anything to eat and plenty of exercise today. And some, it had a rocky start. It was a little colder than I wanted to try and walk in less than an hour. It's 1.8 miles. And that long a walk, I like to take my time and poke around, picking garbage and stuff like that. Take pictures and stuff. And so I took a bus. And I left myself plenty of time. I got out of the house at like 5 after 7 for an 8 o'clock appointment. The buses, the number 18 bus on 6th Avenue runs every like 10 or 15 minutes. But the number 2 is every half hour. But still, I got to 6th and 22nd Street in time to catch the number 2 that left downtown at 7:30. But it didn't get out of downtown until 10 minutes late. But I still got there like right at 8 o'clock. I was, okay, we're good. But then there's a line checking in. They're like not checking people in very quickly. And I finally had to like rag at the lady who was doing the triage at the door and say, hey, look, they're going to cancel my appointment any minute now. Can I just go upstairs? And she went to the registration lady, who was still dealing with 2 people in front of me. And they're like, oh yeah, go ahead. But it was a real good appointment. I got what I needed, and then I got home, and my friend, who shall remain unnamed, who is my current weed provider. This is some pretty shit too. This is Sonoran grown. This was grown somewhere within 100 or 200 miles of here. It appears to be like a sativa indica hybrid. And it's mostly Sensimilla. There's some seed in it. Oh boy, this one's got a lot of seeds. This one's fully seeded. Fuck. Oh well, but that's okay. I'll sprout them and see what happens, because it's a very tasty strain. So anyway, while she's here, I checked my eBay, and there were bids on all 3 of the Moldavites. And there were 3 bids on the one. I haven't checked the others yet. But if there's a bidding war, these puppies could go. I mean, there's still 3 days. These guys, I've seen some pieces similar in quality and size go for $300 recently. So I have a whole mess more that I need to put up tonight. I really should. I'm starting to get late, and I should stop fucking around with idiots. And put them up. I'm not really fucking around with the idiots. It's mostly been at Facebook tonight. I spent a few minutes on either of the troll bases. all day. I was too busy with my imaginary friends. But things are looking real good. I contacted the web designer that's got Mario's webpage. It's really nothing more than like a hi, this is who we are, or look at our shit and come and see us kind of a thing. You can't buy anything off his page, and you can't really look at his catalog because it's not up. Let's see. Find out when I'm going to talk to him this week. I'll call him tomorrow probably. I don't know if he can take PayPal because I don't have any. No, I don't have enough cash to buy anything right now. I want to get some sage from him. But anyway, I don't think I'm going to ramble much. I mean, there's been some, in the news, there's been some really strong news. Well, let's see what's going on my page. Really good news, too. I haven't listened to the whole thing yet. I was listening to some of Biden's address this evening. Randy Rainbow has a Mr. Biden Bring My Vaccine song. Come on. What else? Happy Plagueanniversary. We're the 13th is the day that Trump declared that everything needed to be locked down. Mississippi governors signed an anti-trans bill, the first anti-trans bill of 2021 today. This is an interesting, Grateful Frederick Fradiello is comes from construction contractor, his father, probably his grandfather and great-grandfather too. And he's been promoting the idea of intentional communities, eco-villages, shit like that for 40 years that I've known him, almost. 1989, a little over 30 years. And we've been having this conversation. He's one of, I'm a let's remodel the system, and he's tear it down and rebuild kind of person. We've been having this discussion for many years. Here's today's brain fart from Fred was, how's this for a business model? Government pays Big Pharma to rush develop experimental vaccine, given distribution permission without normal testing. Vaccine is mandated. Government buys millions of doses. Big Pharma makes the profits with no damage liability. 2 doses recommended. Then CDC says, the vaccine may only be effective for 3 months, when you will need another shot. And how long is this story supposed to go on? A shot a year? 2, 3, 4 shots a year? Step right up, folks. Big Pharma has big friends in D.C. They pay more for lobby than anybody else. Money well spent for their profits anyway. And this is true. Natural medicine, immune fortification is our best defense against the virus. And I'm pretty sure, I saw indications of it in some of the clinical reports I was reading from around the world last year, where the healthier you are, the less this thing is going to impact you. And it's real clear in the fatalities. These are not healthy people getting killed for the most part. Anyway, then one of Fred's friends comes in and says, the FBI would like to have your location now. And then another one said, they already have it. And I come in and said, anybody who uses a cell phone or plastic money can be tracked easily. Rabble-rousers like Fred and myself really don't constitute enough of a threat to merit much attention. It's much easier to throttle our access to consumers than to give us a hard time directly, which is what these guys at AMB and Kiwi Farms have been doing for the last 10 years. Kiwi Farms only been in it for 4. I don't know who had the ball before I found AMB. They might have had it for all I know. Bucket claims to have been on the desk at Incirlik the night I got broken into in 1999. He's a retired Air Force spook, IT security consultant now. There's another interesting little thing. Caitlin Johnstone, I don't know what, I have to look into her background, see where she's coming from. I mean, I know where she's coming from, but I don't know how she got there. She's an Australian anti-imperialist. But I don't know what her... I don't know what her background is. She's been raging shit that people like me and Fred and Lonnie Berg and all other hippie politicos, Ellen Thomas and Laurel. What's her last name? Laurel Kent State's sister. We've known these things for years. The left simply doesn't have the numbers to advance socialist and anti-imperialist agendas in the Western world. We don't have the numbers because mass-scale plutocratic propaganda actively works to keep us from having the numbers. Sort of, but it's a little more complex than that. Until we address this head-on, nothing changes. What they've done is they've made it so that we have to comply with something to be able to earn enough money to live on. And they keep they make the slaves, this happy slaves in America. This is the seat of empire. They need to keep us from overthrowing the power structure so that they can use us to project their power onto other countries. That's what we need to address, and the anti-war movement has never been able to keep enough boots on the ground because everybody's got to feed themselves, and there's huge sacrifices to stand up against the military-industrial complex. Consistently, people like Ben Maisel are rare birds. I'm a slacker and a coward I refuse to assert myself in some of these crowds, and I just sit back and watch it and take notes. And it's just I'm not going to go up against the alphas of anybody. I'm content with my role in reality. I come from an ancient clan of scribes and priests and builders, and I'm doing what I can in the face of some real powerful adversities and a funny hand that I got dealt. I'm really have a lot of hope from what I'm seeing around the water protectors, land back movement, certain levels of BLM folk, all the way at the top is like something's wrong there. But the local organizers, some of them have been doing really fine work. Others have been putting mobs into innocent people's faces, white shaming them in cafes. I think that should be prosecuted. But the natives and the rainbow hippies, just the rainbow people, they aren't all hippies. The people who are feeling their indigenous roots, calling them and telling them that industrialized civilization is headed for a crash and burn. I mean, this is something I've known as somebody who's trained in the hard sciences, and climate science was part of my studies in marine biology. I'm basically biochemistry and zoology is what my specialties are, and I never was able to do much with it, so I'm very rusty. And way behind the time. But I still know what I'm talking about on certain subjects, especially climate change. They've been warning us about this for years. I had profs that had quit high-paying jobs in polymer chemistry to come and teach us about what the fuck was happening. Um, we and we had, it was a small school and it was party school at the time. I don't know what they're like now. They seem to have raised their academic standards quite a bit. Um, I mean, they always had, top quality instructors. All the profs are PhD level, and they were not required to publish. So they weren't all tied up with that. They could teach. And some of them were really fine teachers. And because it was a party school, the classes were small to begin with. And, once you eliminate all the party animals, then they're really small. And we'd go out and we'd hang out after hours with the profs and the Rathskeller, and our philosophy professor used to take us sailing and bring us to his house and smoke dope all night playing backgammon. Um, I come from privilege. I really, they call it a participation trophy. And they call the job that I had, I worked in a prestigious neuroendocrinology research group that laid the foundations for all the fucking bioengineering that's going on now, particularly in hormones. The procedures, the monoclonal antibodies, culturing, and the extraction procedure, chromatography procedures, gel electrophoresis, and radioimmunoassay, and all that kind of happy shit that has empowered the biological engineering industry for the last 40 years. I was working for that group when they were developing the all these methods. Right there in front of my face. I was doing RIAs and chromatography and helping with other things and watching, people in, next door set up their gel electrophoresis, and reading all the technical journals and shit on this stuff all the time and just watching it develop. And it's always just swept floors. That's the one thing I didn't have to do because there was a maintenance, there were maintenance people paid to do that. I did have to empty the radioactive trash. And set up reagent solutions and shit like that. But mainly I was spinning down blood samples and then running radioimmunoassay on them for a variety of hormones. And then crunching the numbers. This is a very interesting conversation that was going on at the Water Protectors Group. I probably should read. I probably should go get the rest of the conversation. Yeah, I should get the rest of the conversation. I'm going to read it for you. Okie doke. Anyway, this was built around a meme, a political cartoon, an old political cartoon by Bill Malden from 1968. Well, I'll be darned. And it's a picture of legs in the foreground of American Indians, Puerto Ricans, poor whites, and blacks walking with two good old boys wearing cowboy hats in the background that you can see through their legs, saying, "What worries me, Senator, is that they're getting into step." That was Bill Malden from 1968. I didn't realize it was that old. I didn't look that closely before. But intuitively I do, because what I said when the commenting got down, when I got there to comment, what I said was getting the poor into step is what got Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and Fred Hampton assassinated. And then someone come along and said, true, education and more people together than ever before. Perhaps I'm mistaken, but it seems there are more people spiritually connected. Could be just my view, technology. I've met in a way people I never would have. Here, for instance, even if I do not fully know, do not know fully anyone, there is a sense of genuineness and openness and healing and balance. And yeah, this is a bubble I've been living in since the early 80s, as best I can, is to gravitate to those people that you feel in your spirit, that your soul connects to their soul, knowing that you're both seeking the same kind of world, and not be fighting with people that are saying, not be fighting with the naysayers that indigenous people who are tuned to nature and tuned to the cosmic consciousness, whatever you want to call it, it's there. The spirit of peace, love, and music lives in me as best I can express it. What else is there to do? That's pretty much the hippie way. It's like, we're here now and dance, as Ram does. And then Diane come along and says, that's uplifting. It seems to me that no one's been assassinated for some years. However, it's a bigger plan we need to be peeking around the curtain at. Sneakier, subtle, dark, pull the wool over eyes tactics. And then someone said to her, I believe there's a higher awareness and why it threatens those such as Proud Boys. And Diane's like, everyone has their walk and choices. It's sad they're so threatened. There is still so much fear of difference, of not enough. And then there are governments and business agendas, all based on being separate and greedy, defensive or fearful. How to teach or help people see there is sufficient if we share, respect, and honor. Many paths and lessons for every soul here. Is it possible to have almost everyone with the same values and views? Much to heal, just thinking is all. I know I simplified it. Actually, you confused me a little bit, baby. But that's cool. Hunter Thompson would point out fear and loathing that's driving so much human interaction. And my counter to that is that instead of recoiling in fear and loathing to otherness, we need to embrace it with love and acceptance. We need to celebrate the diversity rather than try and homogenize everybody into like this singular culture of complacent slaves. And so to Diane, I said, don't kid yourself. There are at least 1,500 Americans murdered every year for the sake of national security. They haven't had to kill anybody high profile for a long time because they make sure nobody ever gets the kind of clout that would make it necessary to kill them. That's what internet trolls are for. Disinformation campaigns made easy. Just what I was talking about with Fred. And how it's just they don't do that stuff to people like us anymore. They just make sure nobody can see us. Make sure that life is not easy. And the lady who was talking to Diane asked, "How do we change that kind of dark?" And my answer was, I don't know that it's even possible for us to do on our own without the assistance of the space traveling terrestrials, popularly called gods. There are fewer than 1,500 individuals, representing only a handful of ancient imperialist bloodlines, claiming to hold title to all the real estate containing critical resources. War is a racket that these families have perfected over the course of millennia. Very little has changed in the structure of human society beyond the sophistication of population management methodology and the efficacy of the implements of mass murder. I need to read that out loud more because that's my main line. And I'm a conspiracy researcher, and yeah, the fucking Rothschilds and the Morgans been at it a long fucking time, and I can prove it. A bunch of other families too. Otherwise, they have the planet divvied up into church-state fiefdoms that are in a constant state of conflict for world domination and control of the resources. Until those very few people are taken out of the supply chain completely, there will be no significant change in the status quo. Don't be seduced by the black snake worshippers on the left. We, the people who seek to form this more perfect union, have come together much more strongly than I've ever seen the people focus on any issues to defeat the threat of Trumpism. And we're using that momentum to make a lot of things happen that we need to have happen at home, but the war toys industry is carrying on business as usual overseas. Without a global ceasefire and greening of the military, there will be no slowing of the climate changes the planet is going through in response to the changes that were made and continue to be made by human industry, with its binary reasoning and vain attempts at monoculture. This is not an infinite system, and the American military-industrial complex has been treating it as if it is for 245 years. An ecosystem's stability is in its diversity. Nature always wins. Quantum mechanics is nonpartisan. What you put into the universe is going to come back to you. We can't be putting all this carbon out into the atmosphere if we aren't sequestering it back into the soil at a greater rate than we're emitting it. And Diane responded to me, "No, I don't kid myself about anything. When I posted this, it was to bring power to the people, shared from a member, not darken a moment of awareness building. We who have been around know the story, not our first movie. I think by assassination, I meant the way they did MLK, John, Bobby, etc. And I hear you, TJ. Miss, thinking about your words on the second comment. Thanks for the feedback. Thank you for all you and all your words and deeds. I was born to privilege. I've worked and played in the streets all my life. Then I got kicked to the curb and lived on the road with the Rainbow Hippies for 20 years and been home bum running a hippie house ever since. I met a lot of prominent activists in the 80s and 90s who wouldn't be appropriate to name here, and I'm honored to be included in the circles of quite a few now. I've never seen the kind of solidarity I'm witnessing growing around the water protectors and land back movement as I'm seeing it now. Blessings to LaDonna Tamakawastawin Allard. I think that's Lakota for Brave Bull. Winona LaDuke, who's just been amazing for a lot of years. And all the other warrior women leading this struggle. Coupled with the uprising from all the other minorities in opposition to Trumpism, we have a lot of power working the green energy for us, much more than their allegiances to the corporations in Congress and the White House right now, than we've had since Eisenhower and Kennedy. What's there to say about Aho Mitakoyasin and keep walking the good talk, relatives? Man, let's check the time on this thing. 44 minutes. I'm getting a little scratchy in the throat. But I'm 66 years old. Man, I feel good. I don't feel like old and decrepit and run down. And yeah, I'm looking it in the face a little bit more than I ever did. I'm not getting mistaken for under 40 much anymore. Mid 50s are better at this point. um, but I feel good, and life's working for me. You know, I've got a groove. I've got my bad habits like tied up in little packages, and Tom moments are few and far between, and I'm feeling good. And I also bought some fresh makeup. I don't know where it's gonna, you know, I'll paint my face for the camera one night, I'm sure, but I don't know if I'm gonna go out in it. There's no reason to. Nothing I do. You know, right now I'm busking, and there's drum circles, and I'm gonna start going to exercise class somewhere. I need to do that. Um, I check with El Rio. They got something going on there, and I'll check at the YMCA, and I got a call into the YWCA. There's a neighborhood thing right here that I want to find out about what they got going. Um, let's see what else is on my page worth reading. Um, this is an interesting piece of news today. As the House passed a bill to expand background checks for gun sales, with Senate passage is unlikely. My question, from the middle of the road, as usual. So, what will be the statutory disqualifiers on background checks? We need to be super vigilant about the wording on controversial bills like this that will certainly raise constitutional challenges from the class of people excluded from gun ownership by this law. Mental health disqualifiers are especially sticky, as there are several psych meds known to cause homicidal ideation that has been acted on in numerous times in mass shootings. Biden signed the American Rescue Plan today, and the checks will probably start coming out next week. This is Suicide Prevention Month, and just a reminder that affordable housing is suicide prevention, livable wages are suicide prevention, universal health care is suicide prevention. There have been some new details in the investigation on Trump's call over in Georgia. The White House dogs got sent home, and Andy Borowitz took a broadside at Ted Cruz and wrote, I didn't read this, it's probably pretty funny. It's just a picture. It's just a caption of the picture. Americans disappointed that Biden's dog leaving Washington without biting Ted Cruz. This is an interesting thing to think about. Before joining a family, look at the women. Are the women in the family being protected? Are they being elevated, celebrated? Look around you. Are women in the family reaching their full potential, or are they all bruised, broken, and suffering in silent pain? Working through their humiliations. You don't know? Ask them. Have they been lied to, lied on, cheated on, used? To know a family is to see the treatment of its women. And, this is something that you really need to watch out for in the road dogs. This is another interesting statement of fact. Masculinity isn't toxic. The absence of it is. Weak men are abusive and spiteful. Strong masculine men are protective and loving. There's lawyers. They're suing the oil companies like they sued when the law firms that the same kind of law firms, probably the same law firms that went after the tobacco companies, are going after the oil companies now. They the tobacco companies willfully lied about the harmful effects of cigarettes, and the oil companies have been willfully lying about the environmental damage they were causing. Well, we're into yesterday now, so we're coming up. That's plenty. Oh, I was gonna stream tonight, but something was like not letting me do it. No, just I tried to stream and it wouldn't start. So anyway, I've been winning. You know, you you win the war by losing battles. You gotta pick your battles real well. You want to win a war, you gotta throw some battles. And I'm really just gonna avoid mixing it up with hate. Haters, just fuck them. They're not going to be changed. I really don't need to defend my honor against lies. These people are fucking lying about me, plain and simple. If you need references, I've got them. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Happy day. Bye.